Good evening, everybody. That's me, John Kinsley, John Kinsley Architects. Tonight, a little bit in the style of the Late Show, I shall be mainly talking about resident-led architecture with reference to a recently completed project that we did in Portobello in Edinburgh, and really concentrating on why I think that approach to new homes is a good idea and what needs to happen to make it easier. So we'll start off with a couple of quotations. First one from the philosopher and house builder Alain de Botton. House builders con the public into buying hugely overpriced rubbish, the architectural equivalent of the turkey twizzler. Nothing controversial about that at all. But every time I show that and get criticised for being nasty to house builders, we get the articles on the right about houses falling down and being badly built. Another quote, if you want good homes, they need to be developed by the people who will live in them. Brilliant book by a guy called John F.C. Turner, 1973. Homes are better and cheaper built by the residents than those built through government programmes or large corporations. So why is a resident-led approach a good idea? Gives me a chance for a drink, doesn't it? Putting sliding like that. The first slide, when it comes up, talks about individuality. So we split this 50-50. All the photographs on the left-hand side are literally the top 8 Google searches, images of affordable housing in the UK. The images on the right-hand side are community-led projects in Germany, Baugruppen projects that Chris already mentioned. Communities are more individual, more creative, can do things better than mass house builders. Communities can choose to build with quality materials. This is our project in Portobello. Materials that will weather gracefully, that need lower maintenance. When we talk, that's not very spacious and light, that slide, it's really dark, is it? But when you ask somebody what they want from housing, the first thing they say is we want bigger rooms, we want more daylight, and we want tall ceilings. So why not design spaces that do that for them? When you're designing your own building yourself, you can design in flexibility, so that building works for you, whether you're 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old. Our flats there are a donut around a central stair. Each flat's got 2 doors into it, so it can be subdivided at a later stage into 2 flats, or it can be you can rent a portion off to a student as a smaller element. We can design sustainably. At Portobello, we use 0 fossil fuels, extremely well insulated to the point that we don't need any central heating. All the cooking and water heating is done with electricity, and that all comes from renewables. We can be innovative. We use a cross-laminated timber frame, which sequesters 114 tonnes of CO2 in the frame. That's about as much CO2 as an average UK resident uses in 10 years. It's quicker to build, it's more accurate, and building with wood is more healthy than other forms of construction. When we build the flats, the people that are going to live there can finish them off themselves. They can save a little bit of money by building their own kitchen, as happened here. So this is Dave and Jika's kitchen in the flat below the one that we live in. Dave built his own kitchen, he built his own bathrooms. All the internal finishes were done by the residents as they moved in, so that saved them some money. Private developers are incentivised to build to the lowest possible cost that they can. Residents are incentivised to build to the highest quality that they can afford. So residents invest in the community, need to be able to walk out of that front door with their head held high, that they're doing something good. They will love and care for the building. They'll plant trees, plant gardens, look after it. So if you're a local authority selling land, why would you not want to sell to a resident-led development rather than a private developer that's going to build to lower standards? The flats can be bespoke. We've already talked about all the internal finishes can be exactly what they want. So where a house builder might let you choose the colour of your kitchen worktop, here all the plans of all the flats were completely individual. The finishes were totally different inside. The residents all chose their own kitchens and bathrooms and so on. And then moving on from the qualitative advantages to the quantitative advantages, the difference here, borrowing some figures from Alistair Parvin, who talks extremely well on the subject. Go and look him up if you're interested. Brilliant guy. Self-build, 185k, built by a developer, 250k. That profit that the developer takes away in a suitcase at the end of the project stays in the community when you do it yourself. It's not being hived off by somebody that's going to disappear the moment the job's finished. So what needs to happen to make that approach easier? I can have another drink of beer now. Land should only be bought, owned and developed by the people that are going to live there. What that does is it separates the speculative property market from the market of people who just want a place to live. And what that means then is the price is driven not by what speculative investors can afford to pay, but what by local people can't. If you think that's naive and that's pie in the sky, go to Germany, look at the way Baugruppe are done in Germany, where 10% of the buildings in Berlin are built using that method. It works over there, it should work here as well. Community right to buy is a start, but it's extremely complicated, it needs to be simplified and it needs to be the default. Finish off with another lovely quotation from Bucky Fuller. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Thanks very much.